Hello, my name is Andreas Mourelatos, and today we'll be presenting our research on employing serious games to increase safety while driving through road tunnels. Now, this study is heavily focused on drivers' behavior. And why is drivers' behavior important? According to the World Health Organization, road accidents cause an estimate of 1.3 million deaths every year. And it should come as no surprise that driver error is one of the main contributory factors of these accidents, with it playing a role in over 90% of the cases. Therefore, it follows that the behavior of drivers should be at the forefront of any study aiming to increase road safety. By analyzing the behavior and by putting special emphasis on the effect that education has on the actions and decisions of a driver, one can reduce driver errors and, in turn, make roads safer. Now, road tunnels in particular are an important infrastructure element of roads, which merit special study. Because of advances in underground space technology in later years, road tunnels have been built faster and more efficiently, resulting in an increase in their numbers. And while it is true that tunnel accidents don't constitute a majority of road accidents, because of the enclosed space of tunnels, the consequences from accidents within them are much more severe and have the possibility to create a greater loss of life than other accidents. Added to that is the fact that in most European countries, drivers do not receive proper education on tunnel driving, as it does not constitute a part of basic driver training. So it makes sense to develop a tool to cover the lack in education. In this research, to develop this tool, we chose serious games. The reason for this choice is that serious games are one of the leading methods of experiential or interactive learning. Tools utilizing this form of learning have shown very promising results in the past research when compared to traditional learning methods, especially when it comes to knowledge acquisition and retention. That is doubly true for practical tasks. And driving is one such task, so it was considered an excellent field of application for this sort of tool. And also, more specifically in relation to driving, serious games have shown in past research positive results in improving aspects like safety awareness, spatial cognition, and general driving habits. The methodology followed in the current research is as follows. First of all, the research team analyzed existing literature pertaining to driver behavior and road tunnels and road accidents in tunnels. The results of the analysis show that road users are not well informed on the specificities of tunnel driving, and even those users that are better informed than others exhibit what is known in safety research as the control effect, meaning that they believe they are less likely to experience an accident and in better control of their surroundings compared to other drivers. The results from this analysis were used to develop software tool which was based on the concept of serious games as mentioned before. This tool has the form of a driving simulation in which the user drives through a virtual tunnel under various different circumstances. The tool was developed using the Unity game engine, and it will be explained in more detail in the following slides. That tool can in turn be used to educate users on the rules and the patterns that should govern driving through tunnels. Now, this tool, as mentioned above, is a driving simulation, and within the simulation, various scenarios were developed. The aim here being to cover as many as possible of the possible situations that a driver can encounter while driving through a tunnel. As you can see, the scenarios range from an uneventful drive-through of the tunnel up to a fire in a vehicle ahead or smoke coming from the user's own vehicle, and include many different other scenarios such as red lights, accidents, etc., etc. Here we have an example video from the tool in use to better familiarize with the concept. So here we are at the main menu of the tool, from which we can choose a scenario. Now, the tool's scenarios are of two sorts, training and evaluations, you can see here. The main difference between the two is that in training cases, the user is shown certain prompts and messages which either encourage correct actions, discourage incorrect ones, or point towards the next action that the user should take to help users learn more about the specifics of tunnel driving, the rules that govern them, etc. In the evaluation scenarios, on the other hand, these messages are absent because their aim is for the users to be able to gauge the knowledge that they have gained through the training scenarios or that they already possess in regards to tunnels. So in this case, we will choose one of the training scenarios, specifically the smoke scenario. After the loading screen is done, we are transported to within the driving simulation. Immediately you see one of the aforementioned messages telling the user to remember the appropriate measures. And as you can see now, the user can interact with various items in their environment. The sunglasses, the air recycling button, which they can turn on and off, the warning lights of the car, the radio, which unfortunately cannot be heard here, but plays music and announcements, the car key, which turns the key on and the car on and off, the lights of the car, which you can see in front, and the car window. Now, these interactive elements were chosen specifically because they play a role in driving through tunnels. Each of them has a specific function meant to illustrate some sort of action and decision that the user needs to make while driving through a tunnel. And you will see some of these in use later in the scenario. So by turning the key, the user can begin to drive. You can see there is a speedometer and a fuel indicator. And in the environment, you can see various road signs which inform the users of various important features like where the next gas station is, where the next parking space is, the speed limits of the current road, and also some specifics related to tunnel driving, such as, for example, that they need to take their sunglasses off, what the radio frequency is, and of course that they need to turn on their headlights while driving through the tunnel. And within the tunnel, you can see there are also a number of elements that are actually found in road tunnels, like various messaging boards, speed limits, emergency phones and fire equipment, as well as lane control signs and emergency exits, as well as signs pointing to those emergency exits. And again, these items, these elements have been chosen to display prompts and signs to the user, like reduce speed limits or different message in the VMS boards. Maybe a lane is closed, maybe one lane is closed in one of the scenarios. Now in this scenario, as you can see, we are examining a smoke situation where smoke comes from the user's engine. And as you can see, immediately a message appears informing the user. And if the user chooses to take the correct action to stop on the right side, they are given a prompt telling them that this was the correct decision and that they should wait there. And immediately also more prompts appear informing the user on what they should do next. Turn on the warning lights, turn off the engine, and leave the keys in ignition and evacuate the car. So if the user now interacts with door, which has become interactable, they have completed the scenario and are taken back to the main menu. In this case, if the user had chosen an incorrect approach and, for example, had continued to drive despite the smoke blinding them, they would have been given a different message and the scenario would have concluded unsuccessfully, thus in helping the user understand what the correct action is and what the incorrect action is. The same holds true for all other scenarios in this simulation. So by using this tool, the users can learn the specifics of tunnel driving and distinguish correct from incorrect actions in each case. That concludes my presentation for today, and thank you very much for your attention.